Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and I've got some Vintage Collection recent sales for you. We've got some TVC 1.0, some Revenge of the Jedi offerless. We've got a mouse droid that sold. Although it was kind of damaged, I was curious to see what you guys think of this sales price. There were some mint and sealed box vehicles, as well as a few graded. I kept the grading down to just the bare minimum because I think most of you do not collect graded vintage collection, it seems. But prices seem to have stabilized. Maybe it's just me. There was about a window there of about 3 to 4 months where everything was in free fall. And part of it was because of new releases and everyone's pocketbooks being somewhat barren, like the Tatooine Desert, because there were so many new releases that were hitting that were pre-ordered. Part of it was the holidays. People just, had other expenses that they had to cover. But it does seem like prices have somewhat stabilized after kind of a steady downcline in prices for vintage collection, whether it's TVC 1.0 or 2.0. For the most part, everything I'm going to cover today seemed to be kind of in line with market and other recent sales. But the first one we've got is a Canadian Dengar with that Boba Fett error sticker on the front, and it almost seems like, other than maybe Boba Fett with the Boba Fett offer, or like a Vader, it seems like most of the characters tend to sell for between $100 to $150 if the card's in good shape and it's that Canadian with the Boba Fett offer. That is, the error. So this one was kind of right in line with that. It sold for $150 plus $12 shipping. Nice looking example, though, very clean looking card, but that one is the Canadian Dengar. Next up, we've got several different offerless Revenge of the Jedi card backs that sold that I wanted to cover. This seller has 4 of them available, or had 4 of them available. 3 of them have sold for $280. He's got 1 left. And my question to you guys is, were Revenge of the Jedi offerless without any paperwork inside the blister? Were they available at retail? Because this guy had 4 of them, so I would assume he had like a sealed case of some sort, which kind of goes against my theory, and maybe I forgot. You told me and I forgot, but I always thought Revenge of the Jedi with no paperwork inside meant that it came from the SDCC box set. But maybe one of you guys have told me in the past that no, there were some Revenge of the Jedi offerless at retail. I wasn't really collecting vintage collection when these were at retail originally, so I'd be curious to see in the comments what you thought there. But anyway, this one did sell. 3 of them did sell for $280. He's got 1 still available. Now I've got a Revenge of the Jedi offerless Vader and R2-D2 that I sent out to my Patreon supporters and buy it now alerts. I assume they bought them because they sold very quickly, but I wanted to show you the prices for those versus 2 others for Vader and R2-D2 that sold, and I feel good about it recommending those as buy it nows because the price disparity was pretty wide. So this was an unpunched offerless Revenge of the Jedi Vader that sold for $80 plus $8 shipping, versus this one that sold for $150 US, 200 Canadian. So glad I could point that one out because that was a big price disparity. Same thing with the R2-D2. This one sold for $75 that I sent to my Patreon supporters. $75 plus $8 shipping. And then this one, again, same seller, had it, Revenge of the Jedi R2-D2 for $150 that sold, plus $22 shipping. So about half price on those that I sent out. So hopefully one of you guys picked it up because they did sell almost within 15 seconds of me sending them to you. So pretty interesting price disparity there. Next up, Zam Wessel on the Attack of the Clones card. Pretty clean looking card back. US card, unpunched. This one sold over in the UK for 125 pounds, which is 160 US dollars. And maybe those of you watching over in the UK, shout out to the Rebels TVC 3.75 inch group. You guys always watch my videos, and I appreciate the channel support. This one wasn't even mint. It had some damage to the left side of the card back there, but it sold for 160 US dollars. So part of it might be exchange rate for currency, but 125 pounds seems like a lot, given that over here in the US, I mean, these go for like 80 bucks, maybe. So I was just kind of curious as to why that sold for so much money. It might just been an impatient buyer, I don't know. But given that it had the damage to the card back very clearly displayed there, I'm just shocked it sold that high. Next up was the Shea Vizsla original release on the European Eurozone card back with the multi-language warning label sticker on the back and on the front there. That one sold for 115 pounds, which is 146 US dollars. Over here in the US, on the US card in clean condition like this, they usually go for 100 US, 110 maybe. Since the Shea Vizsla was re-released, you know, that price has really come back down to earth, as seems to happen with all of them. Next up was a Grand Moff Tarkin. You know, Grand Moff Tarkin was kind of going 175 to 200 for a while there. And it's been on the steady decline, but I found 3 different sales for Grand Moff Tarkin, all recent sales. They were all $100 to $110. So it seems like that's plateaued now at $100 to $110 for a very clean, unpunched U.S. card back for Grand Moff Tarkin VC98. Next up, we've got the Canadian example for VC11. It's got the multi-language name pill there, and then on the back, it's obviously got the Canadian card back. So this was a nice example, and this was for sale up in Canada for 150 US dollars that sold, which is 200 Canadian. So beautiful example though. Now the US card can go for $100 to $110. The Canadian example, and this was a clean example, sold for only $40, $50 more, which I think is a good buy, given that the Canadian cardbacks, they only produce one of those for every 10 of the U.S. cardbacks. So if you're into those kind of foreign cardbacks, those multi-language name pills like this, I just think that's a really good value to spend a little bit more and get the harder to find Canadian example for Princess Leia in her Bespin gown. Very cool sale there. Now, here's that mouse droid that I alluded to. This was in rough shape. I mean, look how rough it is. You can see dings at the top of the card back, lots of edge wear all the way around it. And the card back on the back was not much better. I mean, you can see a lot of edge wear. This is like 75 grade condition. And it was listed for $750, and it sold for $725. So maybe it's just me, but that seems like a drastic overpay given the condition of the card back. Now, if it was a near mint condition and super flawless, I could maybe see that price, but $725, which was the offer that was accepted on this one, and given the condition of this one, that seems like a really big overpay. So be patient and wait for one that's in cleaner condition. Next up, here's that big lot of different TBC that sold. I had this in a what to buy video. You had 3 different Cave of Evil multi-packs. You had some Boba Fett's, Lando Skiff, Grogu, some clone troopers. I mean, this was a pretty big batch of different figures. It looks like it's got some carbonized figures in there, the Walmart exclusive Mimban Stormtrooper. So pretty interesting lot, just kind of a wide, varied lot. And it sold for $187.50, and that was a lot of 32 figures. So interesting sale there. Here was that other multi-pack set that I alluded to in my What to Buy video. This had the Jedi Destiny set, the Cave of Evil, the Imperial set with Dengar, the AT-AT driver, and the Imperial commander, and then the Hero set with Obi-Wan, Han Solo, and Luke X-Wing. So pretty nice looking box sets there. You had 2 Target, or I guess all 4 of these were Target exclusives. I think 3 were Target exclusives, and then the Jedi Destiny set was a SDCC exclusive, or Hasbro Pulse exclusive, if memory serves. But anyway, those 4 did sell for $202.50 in an auction, 46 bids on that one. And then here was those lot of 4 sealed Hasbro cases. So these are the kind of things you could send into AFA for uncirculated grading. They were in Entertainment Earth sealed cases of different figures. It looks like there was an Ahsoka, Mandalore, and then the Mandalore Maul included in those. Those sold for $258.50. 50 bids on that one. So lots of action on those 4 sealed Hasbro cases of TVC. Next up was that mint and sealed box Millennium Falcon that Brian's Toys had at auction, and that one sold for $535 in an auction. So 75 bids on that one, so lots of bids on that one. But that was that original issue Millennium Falcon, and it had some edge wear here and there to it, but this is what dates back to 2010, 2011, and pretty cool to see that one sell for $535 plus $25 shipping. Next up, this one just sold, and this price shocked me on this one. It sold for $900. This is the Toys R Us exclusive Empire Strikes Back AT-AT Walker. And, I was expecting kind of $500, $600 maybe $650 at the top end. This one sold for $900 plus $110 shipping. So over $1,000, which seems like a massive number to me, just given where this one has sold for recently. So big number in a buy it now situation, $900 plus $110 shipping. Let's end this video with a few graded items. This was an AFA 8.5 Princess Leia in her slave outfit proof card, the Revenge of the Jedi proof card. Now, we documented on the channel, and I think it was a 9.25 that sold for, I forgot the number now. It was over $200. I know that. But this one was an 8.5 graded. This was a giveaway at the 2012 SDCC. It might have been the 2011, SDCC. I'm not sure. But anyway, this one did sell for $200 plus $15 shipping on that one. Here was a Leia Hoth, and someone was asking me about this. They said, hey, is this the right figure and right weapon? And I think it is. I mean, as far as I know, it doesn't look off to me, but he was questioning whether the figure and the blaster were correct for this figure. I think the blaster just fell out of Leia's hand, and that's all that was really wrong with it, because it was AFA graded. Leia Hoth outfit, Boba Fett offer, AFA 8.5, but I didn't see anything off about it or anything that kind of questionable about it. I think that's the correct blaster and figure for that card back. So I think he might have been confusing it with the Bespin Escape version of Leia, but this was just the original TVC 1.0 Leia in her Hoth outfit VC02 with the free Boba Fett mail away offer. And again, that one sold for $90 plus $11.73 shipping. Next up, same seller had the Weequay Skiff Master. This was a punched example, graded AFA 8.5. And that one also sold for $90 plus $11.73 shipping. So nothing crazy there, but probably in line for 8.5 grades for those two. Next up, we've got the uncirculated 8.5 mail order exclusive rocket firing Boba Fett. So this one was uncirculated graded, only an 8.5. You can see a little bit of damage there at the top of the card, which is probably why it got the 8.5. And probably what happened was you had the mailer box, right? And then the figure inside, there wasn't really anything to protect the figure from maybe scraping on the inside of the box. So that's what I'm guessing happened, is that it just kind of over time, it probably scraped off a little bit of the edges there on that one. But otherwise, very clean looking example. And, given how hard AFA is on some of these, I'm surprised it even got the 8.5 with that litho damage on the upper left. But that one was listed for $270.77, and the best offer accepted on that one was $225 plus $12 shipping. So that might be a little high, I guess, for an 8.5. I think for a 9.0 uncirculated, you can probably pay about $250 and get that one in a little bit higher grade. So to me, an 8.5 is probably more like $175 to $200. That's my personal opinion on that. But that to me seems like just a slight overpay. I think a 9.0 for $225 to $250 is probably what I'd aim for. These have come back down. I mean, during the Book of Boba Fett, these were going for like $350 to $500. I mean, it was crazy numbers, but they have come way back down, and I think you can probably get a higher grade for about that same price. Finally, we had this one. I don't know what's going on with this one. This was a Revenge of the Jedi Stormtrooper, and it was listed on this one anyway as the SDCC Revenge of the Jedi. So offerless, no paperwork inside. So that, to me, like the earlier ones that we were talking about, the Vader, the R2, the Boba Fett, to me, those are probably also SDCC exclusives, unless some of those offerless did make it out to retail. I don't know. But anyway, this one was graded uncirculated 90, and it sold for $400. $400 plus $8 shipping. That to me seems like a really big number. I mean, I understand paying up a little bit for uncirculated designation, but to me, $400 is a big number. I wouldn't pay that much for this one. And this is the older kind of figure mold too for that Stormtrooper. It just looks kind of wonky to me. And uncirculated 90, I mean, I know it's very high grade, and it is 3-tier grading versus like modern grading on the 1 to 10 scale. So there is some value there. But $400, I mean, I was thinking more like $200. So anyway, that's a big number. So some of these, there are some overpays in this batch, but I think in general, some of these, I think went for about fair market value, like the Grand Moff Tarkin and some of those Revenge of the Jedi offerless that were ungraded, I thought were sold for some pretty good prices there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at what's going on in the vintage collection. Please consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. Please leave a like to help out with the YouTube algorithms, and I'll be back soon.